The engine is starting up.
For launch. GC, go. Guidance, go. Fido, go. Prop, go. GNC, go. Max, go. Eagle, go. Ecom,
go. Pending final steps to cabin link check.
3, 2, 1.
Is there anyone here that would like to communicate with us? Can you give us a sign?
Welcome to the R.I.F.T Nation Network, the RNN, putting a slide in your glide and a dip in your hip. Welcome to the mothership, the home of the travelers of the universe. With shows throughout the week, you can find us at Instagram, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, and more. Everything you could want, everything you can need right here, right now. From the paranormal to the supernatural. From comedy to the spiritual. And now, your featured show. Shall we begin?
It's showtime, folks!
Podcast may contain material that some listeners may find sensitive, offensive, or disturbing. We strive to create respectful and informative content, but topics discussed may include mature themes such as violence, explicit language, or controversial subjects, triggering content including discussions related to mental health, trauma, or other sensitive issues, explicit language. Occasionally, our guests or hosts may use strong language. While we aim to handle these topics with care and empathy, we encourage listeners to exercise discretion. If you find any content distressing, consider skipping or seeking support. Remember that this podcast is not a substitute for professional advice. If you need assistance, please consult a qualified expert.
Hello. Can you see me? Hello, everybody. Welcome in. Happy Friday. I hope you guys are staying cool because it is so hot here in Virginia, and my AC is not working well until tomorrow when we get a new part. So I am steamy today. I hope you guys have had a great week. I know there's a lot of new energy floating around. I see everybody. Heidi, Keith, Glinda. I see Deb and Lewis, and hello. I'm so happy to see you guys. I'm so sorry about last week. I had a really horrible sinus migraine, so I was out, but I am back this week for part 2 of Cursed Locations, and I'm so excited. So my primary focus for tonight is, obviously I have pictures for you guys and all, and we're going to talk about them, but all the locations tonight are featured here in the United States. So if you live in the United States, you might know some of these, and even if you're around the world, you might still have heard of them. So I know last time we talked about a lot of different areas around the world. Tonight it's all about America's cursed locations. And again, this could go on another time because there's so many of them. But we're going to talk about some names, why they're cursed, what happened there. Just like, hello, Michelle, welcome in. Just like last time I asked, if you're new here, I would love to know, do you believe curses are a possibility? Some people I know I've met that fully believe curses are real. And then I've met some people, I actually had a priest tell me curses are only real if you believe that they're real, because we manifest what we believe, right? So again, up to each person's personal preference, whether they're real or not. But I would love, as always, just like last time, to know you guys' opinions, if anything's changed. If you have a location that you know or think is cursed, let me know. I would love to hear all about it. So without further ado, let me see if I can get my hello, Heidi. Thank you guys so much for the shares. Keith, I see you. Thank you for the shares. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for the chat. Let's get started. Okay, so let's see. So starting off strong in California, we have Bodie, California, and a cursed ghost town, or allegedly a cursed ghost town. And let me know if you guys have heard of any of these. I would love to know if you've been to any of these. Let me know. I will tell you about each one if you can actually visit it. Some of them you can. Some of them you will get in big trouble if you attempt to do it because most of them are now protected. But here, as you can see, this is Bodie, California. And back in the 1800s, Bodie was a thriving mining town. It's now known as a ghost town. It was thriving, lots of mining going on. You know, back then the gold rush was happening. Everybody was out hunting for gold. And Bodie was really big with that. So, and then of course, as time goes on, you know, things happen, jobs change. And next thing you know, if there's no work, everybody's moving. At one point, Bodie, I wrote down, had 10,000 residents. And now, of course, this particular area has none. It is now protected by the California Historical Park, so state historical park. So you'd have to figure out like hours and things like that to visit it. But you're probably wondering, okay, it's a ghost town. Why would it be considered cursed? Well, legend has it, and anybody that's done this swears that even if you take the smallest rock from Bodie, even the smallest little rock, if you take it away like a little souvenir, you will have nothing but strings of bad luck until you take it back. Hello, Howie. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So I talk about this all the time. I tell my friends and followers on TikTok and everywhere I talk to, please never take anything from a haunted location. And I know I have a lot of people I've met that like to go to graveyards and get graveyard dirt. There's no judgment there. But, you know, when you have certain locations and you go remove a little piece, sometimes something comes back home with you more than that little piece. And next thing you know, you're having all this activity because it wants to be returned back to where it's supposed to be. Good evening. Good evening. So again, even the smallest rock, people are saying that they start having apparitions in their home. They start feeling ill, all kinds of stuff. Their life has all this bad luck. And it all traces back to they visited this location. They took a little piece home with them. It's happened many, many times. You can read up on that if you're interested. Hello, Glenda. Glenda down there was my guest last time. And hopefully we can get her back sometime. But so again, if you want to visit this beautiful location, it is beautiful. You have to make sure you check the times and all because it is protected. And so if you go trespassing, you will get in big trouble. And please make sure that if you do decide to visit Bodie and this ghost town, that you do not take anything home with you because you may not be so lucky. But this is why it's considered cursed, because anything that goes home with people, next thing you know, boom, lots and lots of bad luck. I think I have another photo too. Let me see. I try to have a couple of pictures of each one so you can see some different views. Oh, here's another one. Oh, let me show you one from when it looked like when it was thriving. So this is back when, you know, this isn't obviously black and white. This is when it was booming and the gold mine is going on and everybody's happy. Again, it was about 10,000 residents currently, well, not currently, well, in this photo, we're currently living there. And then it felt like overnight, everybody just left. And it really wasn't overnight. What happened was, of course, mining, it just wasn't happening anymore. And people needed to move to the next location to mine and get the gold. Oh, now you're just teasing. Oh my goodness. I have heard many, it's not this one. I've heard many accounts where people just, you know, they want to take a little something. Isn't it so pretty? I have a big fascination with ghost towns and like look at the scenery. I've never personally been to California. I really want to go. I'm just like, I don't know. I think I have to be sedated to get on a plane. I like my feet on the ground. People pick on me. My family picks on me like, you'll go ghost investigating, but you're scared to get on a plane. I'm like, when I'm investigating, my feet are on the ground. So again, if you're just tuning in, Bodie, California, this is an old mining ghost town. And the reason it's cursed because anybody that takes anything from it will get a little more than they bargained for when they get back home. So beware. All right. That was California. Now, I wish my stuff was in order. Okay. Let's go towards next. We're going to hit Tennessee. And a lot of people know this, especially if you're in the paranormal. This is the Bell Witch legend. Um, isn't it cool? So there's this limestone cave under the Bell family's area home, and it created this Bell Witch cave, which is said to be haunted. And if you go there, you can experience a lot of things. A lot of people claim that if you go there, something might follow you home because there's a lot of energy there. My friend was there, I believe. Really? That's so cool. Well, let's talk about why it's haunted. And there's a pretty cool backstory to it too. Let me get our guy up here. That is the reason. Okay. Here we go. Here we go. So in 1804, this is Mr. John Bell Sr. He moved his family. Back then it was called Red River. Now it's Adams, Tennessee, but back then it was Red River, Tennessee. So he decided he was going to move his family to a new farm. It was beautiful. It had spacious land. Everything was good. And for decades, they lived there in peace. Everything was cool. Everybody was happy. Life was good as best it could be. And then all of a sudden, they began having terrifying, unexplained phenomenon. They would have knocks on their doors and walls, knocks and threes, people banging. They would be sleeping at night and their sheets would be yanked off the bed. They would have, of course, you would hear the disembodied voices. You'd hear little whispers at night, people talking. And then next thing you know, John right here and his daughter Betsy started having actual physical attacks. So they were actually being, hit, scratched. This was happening and it was tormenting them. Now, again, remember, decades, nothing happened. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they have all this phenomenon. And so eventually, after further investigation, they say that the spirit identified themselves as Kate Batts, which actually was a neighbor. And the legend goes that she got upset. She thinks that he stole some, land. They kind of even out, when they section off land. And she felt like he cheated her out of a land deal. And allegedly on her deathbed, she claimed that she would haunt his entire family and anybody that would, anybody that had a baby in the family lineage on through generations would be haunted because of him cheating her out of a land deal. Now, is that true or not? I don't know. I wasn't there. But hello, Renee. Hello. So happy you guys are here. So let me show you that picture one more time because it's really pretty. Okay, here we go. Hello. Okay, so again, this is Bell Witch, and if you go to Tennessee to see this. Now, so then of course, remember she dies. She says, I'm going to haunt this whole family. They cheated me out this deal. And then in 1820, Mr. Bell, who I just showed you, he mysteriously fell ill. And they said that on the day that he was found there, next to him was a strange vial of this black weird liquid, but they don't know what it was. And they say that the spirit came, and again, they were hearing the spirit talk. And the family says the spirit said that the black liquid was because the spirit poisoned Mr. Bell. Again, allegedly. And this would be the only case in history where a spirit poisoned a human being. Spirits can do a lot of things, but this is the only case that we have where a spirit allegedly poisoned somebody. At least that's on record, right? That's on record, to be sure. Hi, Ryan. Welcome in. And then, of course, after he dies, all his daughters constantly tormented. Everybody in his family is constantly being tormented. And locals also reported that, after their family was gone, even to this day, apparitions, feeling off. If you visited it, you will feel off. You feel like you're being watched, you're being followed when you're in this area. If you're lucky enough, you might capture some really good EVPs here. You might get apparitions in your photos. It's a really big hotspot for the paranormal community. I don't know exactly. It's probably, oh, I did write it down. It is privately owned and it's a tourist attraction. So you would have to, reach out to the people that own it to figure out how to, get a guided tour. And let me see. I don't know how much it costs. That's the only thing I don't have. I know you can get guided tours, but I'm not sure on the price. I like to try to get everything for you guys, but that I don't have. So again, Tennessee, the Bell Witch, and then again, this is a limestone cave that was up under the home. And this is one of the locations that you actually can go and experience for yourself. And you might, in fact, go home and either you might have some really good evidence or you might have a hitchhiker, one or the other. Make sure you protect yourself anytime you go to these locations so that way you don't take anything home with you. And don't, again, just like the other place, don't take anything that you didn't bring into the location back home with you. Physical or spiritual. Okay. I'm trying to right click. Okay. Going on down the line here. One of my most favorite places I want to visit, hopefully very soon, is Louisiana. I'm intrigued about all the culture in Louisiana, all the lore, the everything. I just feel like my soul is called to visit there. And when I do go there, I hope and pray that I get to visit Murrell's Plantation. So this is Murrell's Plantation. It was built in 1796 by General David Bradford, and he was a part of the Whiskey Rebellion back then. He fled. He originally lived in Pennsylvania, and he fled Pennsylvania and went to Louisiana. Something just knocked him out of there and said, he's got to go. Can't be in Pennsylvania anymore. He's got to go. He originally called this Laurel Grove, and it became Murrell's Plantation. Murrell's Plantation. Do I have a picture of him? I thought I saved one. Let's see. Yes, I do have a picture of him. Okay. Yes. Wait till I tell you about the mirror. So again, this is Mr. General David Bradford. So him and his family were figured out it was haunted. And why is it haunted is because there's been rumored to have 10 different unalivings happen there. Only one is physically verified, but the legend says that 10 have happened. And one in particular in 1871, Mr. William Winter, he was shot and died right on the front porch on the steps. And he is said today to still walk those steps if you visit. But the reason that it's considered cursed, let's talk about that. It all has to do with this beautiful mirror. Okay. Here we go. So this mirror right here, which is encased in this beautiful gold frame, is said to be haunted. Now, when we look at mirrors over time, and I talk about mirrors all the time, and this is one of those things I will never buy second hand because I believe mirrors are portals, or can be. Let me know in the chat if you believe mirrors are portals. But so let's think back to the Victorian era. It was a big thing that even, way back, probably before that, but definitely in the Victorian era, that people believed back then with the spiritual movement and all that if you passed away, your soul could get trapped in a mirror. So what would happen is when you passed away, people would go and cover all the mirrors in your home and open a window. Usually you cover the mirrors, you open a window because you want the spirit to be able to freely leave. That says that the mirror is facing, they're going to get stuck. That's why they tell you, and you hear a lot, never have a mirror facing your bed. Same as a chair. You should never have a mirror facing your bed. It will drain you. You should never have two mirrors facing each other because it creates an endless portal. Now, I know in certain Chinese feng shui and mythology that sometimes they have certain mirrors they will strategically place in their homes to ward off evil spirits. And it's really cool if you ever got to see it. I've gotten to see it. And there's usually one facing the door when you open it because they believe a negative spirit, if there's a mirror there, they will run off. It's really cool. You have to check that out. But it all goes back to spirits can be trapped into mirrors. So the legend of Myrtles goes is there was a slave who allegedly is said I guess that they were treated, obviously, I don't have to guess, they were treated really horrible. And she is set in 2015. This TV show Curse was following a descent of the Bell family. It was pretty well done. Really, I'll have to look into that. I'll have to look into that. I just lost what I was saying. Oh, so obviously they were treated bad. And it said that one of them poisoned the wife and the daughter of the owner at that time. And because they died near the mirror and the mirror obviously wasn't covered, something happened. And it said that some spirits got stuck in this particular mirror. Now, legend has it today, and you can visit, as far as I know, unless COVID changed it, you can still visit Merle's Plantation within hours. They're said to be foggy fingerprints will mysteriously pop up while you're looking at the mirror. If you so decide to stand in front of the mirror and take your picture with the mirror, you might get lucky enough to capture another person there with you, if you found that lucky. But it all goes down to this mirror. This mirror is the most haunted mirror known in the United States, or one of the top three. Maybe not the most haunted, but the top three definitely. It is said to hold a couple spirits in it. And again, a lot of people will go just to take a picture, just to try it. So very, very haunted. Let me see. Did I write down what hours you can visit? I did not. I don't know the hours or anything like that. But again, so Sarah Woodruff and her two children are supposedly trapped in it because they were poisoned and they passed away in front of it, and it trapped them. And again, this goes back and there are certain generations to this day in certain cultures around the world that will still cover mirrors when somebody's passing away. Like if they're getting close, they will go cover them. They will open a window, and it's a lot. It's really cool how cultures do that. And so this is why I don't buy secondhand mirrors, because you'll never know where it's been. But again, this is Merle's Plantation, Louisiana. All right, moving along, because I have a bunch I'm trying to get through here, and they're really cool stories. Mostly everybody probably already knows this one, but I can't not talk about cursed locations without talking about this one. Okay, most people know this one. This is the Winchester House in San Jose, California. It was constructed in 1884, and most people know, but if you don't, it was constantly being built for 38 years until Miss Winchester passed away. And then when she passed away, they stopped construction. But for 38 years of her living here, it was constant construction. So I have pictures to show you. Let me see. Where is Sarah? So if you don't know, this is Miss Sarah Winchester. She married this guy. Let me show you him. I need a picture of all together. She married Mr. Winchester, who was the heir of the Winchester gun. So they created an amazing rifle. It made lots of money. Unfortunately, Miss Sarah and him had a child, and their child unfortunately passed away from malnutrition. You know, things were a lot different back then. So sicknesses, you did not survive. And apparently there was I don't know what happened to the child, but it got sick, malnourished, and passed away due to that. And then unfortunately, not long after that, she lost him, her husband, to tuberculosis. So as you can see, she was very, very grieving. She quickly lost her child, lost her husband, lost everything very, very, very quickly. Now, she started to feel like she was being haunted by any person, spirits of the people that lost their lives due to the gun. She felt like they were haunting her. So she went and she met with a medium, and the medium told her, or the psychic, whatever you want to call the person, told her that she needed to move west, which would put her in California, And she needed to constantly build, because if she's constantly building, then the spirits are confused. And if the spirits are confused, they're not bothering her. Now, she's known to wear all black all the time. Obviously, back then, that was a common thing. If you're in mourning, you wore all black. So she would do that, and she constantly had it. Now, to be fair, she inherited $20 million. I wrote it down, so that's worth about $500 million today. And she got 50% ownership of Winchester Arms Company when he passed away. So she had the money to do it. She was able to, she was able to do that. Construction was 24 hours a day for 38 years. And she passed away in 1922. She had no formal blueprint. It was constantly changing. And again, she did this out of fear for spirits. Now, also, it's interesting because and I have a couple of pictures of these. In the home, there's doors that lead to nothing, and there's stairs that lead to nowhere. I have a photo in here. That's pretty cool. So this is an example. So if you go into the home, you might start walking up stairs that just lead to a ceiling. You might open a door and there's just a wall. There's nothing. Again, this went on and on. So it's a big maze. So I'd probably be lost in the first 5 seconds. But also to note, I wrote down to make sure to tell you guys that it was a big fascination with the number 13 with this house. For some reason, she was obsessed. Now you have to look in numerology to figure out like why 13. But she had 13 panes in her windows, 13 steps in each staircase. So every staircase had 13 steps. She had 13 bathrooms in her home, 13 ceiling panels in some rooms. And her will, when she was getting ready to pass away and she made her will, she had her will divided into 13 sections, and she signed 13 times because you have to sign each section. So 13 sections, 13 times. Now, she would hold seances. She had a room that she considered the seance room. She would hold seances, and the spirits would give her instructions on what she needed to build. Excuse me, I'm hiccuping. What she needed to build next in the home and how it would look. Now, a lot of this, she was haunted by guilt. A lot of people were losing their lives. When the gun was created, people get trigger happy, and next thing you know, all these people were dying. Isn't that a cool story? It's a really sad story because she was alone. She lost her child. She lost her husband. But it's really could you imagine the kind of money? I think they said that she had she made an income of like $1,000 a day back in the 20s. I mean, think about that. That's a lot of money. And could you imagine? I don't know. I could not live in a home where there's construction 24/7. It would drive me bonkers. It really would. It really, really would. So obviously, when she died in her sleep and heart failure, that's when everything ceased. They stopped. They stopped around them. As soon as she took her last breath, the workers stopped. They were done. She's buried next to her husband and their child in Connecticut because that's where they originally were from. And as far as I know, you can still visit this home too, unless a lot of things changed when the world changed. So I'm not really sure. But if you do get a chance to visit it, you might see spirits moving around. They look like they're wandering because they don't know where to go. Again, she believed that as long as she kept them busy and confused them, they didn't bother her. So you have to think about that. Is it really cursed, or is it a woman that went through a lot of stress? I don't know. I mean, think about that. Your husband created a weapon that was killing millions of people. It's kind of hard to live with. Mm-hmm. Hello, hello, hello. Yes, such a good story. I love it. I love it. Let me show you the house one more time, and then I'll move on to the next one because we're looking at stairs. There, again, doors that just go to nothing. Here it is. It's beautiful. So, so beautiful. And it's huge. And I love the fact that she was obsessed with number 13. I love anything that has to do with 3. But she was. All right. Let's go to, that's California. I had 2 in California. Let's move forward to a cemetery. One of the cemeteries I want to talk about. And this is considered one of the 7 gates of hell. I try to figure out why it's considered. I mean, who gets to pick which one's a gate of health? I don't know. But this is Stoll Cemetery in Kansas, and this is considered one of the seven gates of hell. It is seven gates, seven portals of hell, gates, whatever you want to call it. According to legend, Satan himself visits the cemetery twice a year. So if you want to meet Satan himself, you have to be there during the spring equinox and, of course, Halloween, obviously. And you might, hey, you might see him. She was a spiritualist. She was schizophrenic. I, yeah, I feel bad for her. Like, I couldn't imagine losing. I think she lost her child and her husband in the same exact year, or at least a year after. Like, and then she was alone. Can you imagine being alone in a home that's got all these people constantly banging and booming, and then you feel like you're being haunted? Obviously, she's schizophrenic. She probably didn't realize it back then. But you're being haunted. That's terrible. From a good state of Connecticut, her gravesite is awesome. I love visiting. You visit her? Oh, that's amazing. I love it. I'm glad that they took her back to Connecticut and they didn't, because a lot of times they'll just keep them where they're, end up. But I'm glad they took her back to be her family. So, again, one of the portals of hell. This cemetery is, apparently Satan himself, if you believe in the devil. I mean, that's each his own. We'll visit this place twice. Now, there's a lot that goes on. This church, as you see in the background, even though it's wide open and has no roof, legend says it never rains inside of it, which I found interesting. But again, this is all legend based. And if you decide to break into it and visit it, you might get cursed, or you might see Satan himself or a demon. Obviously, guys, please don't go break into the cemetery at night, because it is illegal and you will be arrested for trespassing, because this is one of the particular areas that have so much problems with it. They will press charges no matter what, because a lot of people will go in and try to do all these things and they don't know what they're doing, and then they're ruining the property, because this is an active cemetery where other people are buried, and it doesn't look nice, and so you will be in big trouble. So also featured in the cemetery is a tree. Where did I put it? Right here. You keep adding places in your bucket list. Now, this tree is, I think they've torn it. I think they cut it down now, if I'm correct. But when it was standing there, and I'm still there. It is said to be a tree that back during the witch trials and everything like that, allegedly a lot of witches were unalived on the tree. Now, unfortunately, I could not find actual proof of that, but a lot of people stand by that. So you'd have to really dig on, if you wanted to figure out. I think they have since removed the tree, because again, this cemetery has so much issues with trespassing, of like, especially like people that don't have any respect, are messing with things they shouldn't be messing with out there, taking things like that. So they had to buckle down and like calm it down. Let me get back to the actual picture. Here we go. Again, the church is said to, if you're out there and it's raining, it is said that it does not rain inside the church. There's a lot of satanic rituals that go on here. I'm not there, so I don't know. But the building was torn down. There was another building there, and it was torn down. I don't know why my picture's not working. It was torn down due to safety reasons. I think I'm having a technical difficulty, guys. Oh, you don't want me to show it no more? Let me go back to this one. Okay. So there was another building, but they tore it down because of people doing rituals in it. I don't know. There's also a staircase in this cemetery, a random staircase. Have you ever heard the legends where if you go in the woods and you see a random staircase, if you walk up to them, it can take you to another dimension? I don't particularly believe that lore, but hey, there was one here too, but they have since removed it. But for some reason, the land is considered cursed. If you go there and you do something, it's considered that you're going to go home and you're going to have bad luck. And if you believe in the devil, apparently he visits there often. And I don't know why though. It's really interesting. I really tried to dig. Other than the fact that it was a small town, not many residents, it's restricted now. You can't even. You will get arrested. Um, I guess for fun facts, if you were a Supernatural fan, they filmed the Lucifer and Michael battle in the cemetery, and there's other shows and books were written based on the cemetery. But as far as like why this cemetery is really hard to pinpoint, but there's been so many rituals since then that it's created like this imprint of energy. So there you go. Oh, I have another one you might want to add to your bucket list too. I want to talk about this one next. Okay, where we at? Okay, 9:34. We're doing good. Okay, so this one is in Eureka Springs, Arkansas, in these Ozark Mountains. This is the Crescent Hotel. This hotel was built in 1886 and it has a really dark history. Um, it was known, obviously, it was first a luxury hotel, beautiful. And then it became a hospital that became a scam, and we're going to talk about that. But again, 1886, Eureka Springs, Arkansas. It still stands there today. But let's talk about why it's cursed. All right. So let's talk about this guy right here. Mr. Man right here. So this right here is Norman Baker. He claimed to be a doctor, but later just was found out he had no medical license at all. He was a radio personality, among other things, and he claimed that he could cure cancer. And we're talking about the 1930s. He claimed he was going to cure cancer, and he got this place, and he called it, I think it's called the Baker Cancer Hospital. So his point of view was he could cure, if you had cancer, you could come there and he could cure your cancer without any radiation, without any surgery, without any invasive procedures. But instead, he was doing some really horrific stuff to people that led them to pass away in this location, which then, of course, makes it active and cursed and haunted, or whatever you want to say. But let me show you. I have some flyers from his actual time right here. Hopefully they'll show up clearly. It's on the top now. So here we go. This is what you would have saw back then. Where sick folks get well, Baker Hospital. We cure cancer tumors. It says we do not cut out any organs, no operation, no radium, so no x-rays. He's going to do it. Now, let me see. This is what he called his miracle drugs. Well, not drugs, his miracle whatever. So he would inject patients with mixtures of watermelon seed, corn silk, and carbolic acid. So he made a mixture of those. And then he would liquefy. Obviously, you get the seeds down to a liquid. You add all the other stuff. And then he would inject people with this stuff. And they would get really sick. He would try experiments on them when they were sick. And he also would tell you, hey, I've got this magical water that you can drink. It's going to help you. It was spring water. So what we know as spring water today, that's what he had. And they thought that, I mean, think about that. In 1930s, you have cancer. You're scared to death. You don't want nobody cutting on you. So what are you going to do? This guy comes along and says, hey, I'm going to cure you without surgery. All you got to do is take this injection. Unfortunately, it did not work. And many patients, they say dozens. I don't have an exact amount of numbers of people that passed away, but they say dozens. He did go to jail in 1940, and the hospital obviously shut down. And I have some some reports on what people see. Let me just make sure I didn't miss anything that, again, just so in case you didn't hear me clearly, the cure was injecting patients with mixtures of watermelon seeds, corn silk, and carbolic acid. I don't know what carbolic acid is, but it doesn't sound like something I want in my body. I don't know, like you can look it up online. It's like a little glass bottle, and he makes this little thing, and then I'm gonna put it in the arm wherever I'm assuming the arm, maybe the hip. But yeah, again, no medical license, even though he claimed he was a doctor. And it's different because back then it was harder for people to get in trouble. Like now, you can look it up so well. We're in social media. We have access to internet. Yeah, it is crazy, huh, Deb? It is insane. Let me go back to the hotel so I can read off some of these reports. So, but that was an actual flyer that you would have seen back then. He wasn't that. So this is what it looks like. Now, so the first famous ghost is Theodora. She was a cancer patient who was roams room 419. You guests will report seeing her fumbling her keys and tidying up her room. So you might walk by and see her. Second one is Michael the Irish Mason. He was a stonemason that actually worked on building this place, and unfortunately during construction he fell and passed away. He was not a patient. He fell during construction. He said to haunt 218, room 218. People will report the door 218 will slam, strange noise, lights are flickering. Number 3 is the ghost in the morgue. So the basement, obviously, if you have a hospital in the basement, it's usually the morgue. And sometimes they're different places. But so back then, the basement was the morgue, and the spirit is known as a nurse. It will appear like a nurse, and she's seen pushing gurneys, and then all of a sudden disappear. So you'll see a nurse pushing a gurney, and then boom, blink of an eye, she's gone. So this place has been featured on Ghost Adventures and Ghost Hunters. In 2019, fun fact, a landscaper found dozens of bottles buried on the property, which they said they believed they were empty at that point, but because of time. But all these bottles were the exact bottles that were seen in photos of this magical cure, and there were dozens of bottles. And so, I mean, that's just crazy. So think of the imprint that this hotel has now. It's insane. Like, I couldn't imagine. And what's sad is this is not the only place. And back then, actual doctors that ran certain hospitals were doing horrendous things to people too. And so it's really sad to hear. But it's a beautiful location, very, very active, very big on residual energy. So if you are able to check that out, that should definitely be on a bucket list. Yes, he was crazy. He was very, very, very crazy. Okay, I have one more cemetery that I want to talk about. And then, of course, if you guys ever want more, I got plenty to go. We can do another time. And I've got some other stuff coming up too. But, so, Crescent Hotel, guys. All right. Last but not least, I have to give this a shout out because I'm a big Stephen King fan. All right, let's talk about Mount Hope Cemetery. I would like to see you do the story of history of. Oh yes, I want to get up there and take some pictures. I need to get up there and take pictures. Love cemeteries. Me too. I go live a lot from Hollywood Cemetery in Richmond on my TikTok and just show people like all the spooky stuff because there's a vampire lore there. But yeah, Ed, I want to get up there and like get some actual in real time photos. That would be fun. I love Stanton. If you guys have never been to Stanton, Virginia, the mountains are so beautiful. My oldest daughter's grandmother lived there, and we used to go every year, a couple of times to visit, and it was so beautiful. But so you're probably wondering, okay, another cemetery. Wow. Well, this cemetery is Mount Hope Cemetery. It's in Bangor, Maine. It was originated in 1834. It is the second oldest garden cemetery in the United States. So this goes in number 2 as far as oldest. Yes, I plan to take the team out there. Oh, yeah, let me know. I'm there. She does love that place. Yeah. I do love it. I love cemeteries. I find cemeteries peaceful. Okay. So, what's important about this cemetery? Let me get Mr. King up here. In case nobody knows what he looks like. This is Stephen King. If you don't know who Stephen King is, think of It and all the Shining and all the cool movies. He likes the cemetery. He goes there and he got his inspiration for the Pet Cemetery book from this cemetery. So let me bring it back up. And what I like about it is it has those really cool old mausoleums. Is it gonna work? There we go. Isn't that cool? So the one that's here in Virginia has mausoleums like that, and I love anything like that. So he was visiting, and he got the inspiration for the 1989 film, and it was filmed also at Mount Hope. So he got the inspiration for the book. Of course, the book becomes a movie. The movie is filmed. Bam. So, and on the book, he quoted, "Sometimes dead is better." He was really big on these quotes. And if you are able to visit, you can visit today, but a lot of people will see apparitions of Victorian era figures drifting around among the headstones. So sometimes you won't see the whole body. You'll just see, obviously, it's Victorian era because they wore the big, beautiful dresses and the corsage, all that cool sucking in your gut stuff. And, they had a very distinguished look. So that's how you know it's a Victorian era. You will get cold spots, even though, no matter what time, even if it's cold, just imagine being even colder. There's the big woman in white mystery. So we hear that no matter where you're at in the world, that you'll hear the woman in white. Usually she's seen sometimes in cemeteries, sometimes she's seen on the side of the road, depending on which lore you're looking into. But she is seen walking around the cemetery a whole lot here. And you might get lucky enough to capture her if if she allows it. And another thing is after midnight, because anytime after midnight, they consider it the witching hour, the devil's hour, divine hour, depending on which culture you believe in, but we'll call it the witching hour. Some people say it's 3, but actually it starts at midnight all the way up to 4 a.m. And there says that around these mausoleums, you will see a weird glowing mist, not to be confused with fog, around these, because of everything now. There's over 200 Civil War soldiers buried here. And so you also may encounter marching, drumming, and cannon fire, because obviously before it was a cemetery, it was probably grounds for war. Now, the reason that they say the cemetery is so haunted is because they feel like there's a lot more unmarked graves. They feel like a lot of bodies were moved and not properly, they pulled them and moved them, but they didn't properly do it, and they didn't give them like a gravestone, so they're kind of like thrown everywhere. There's a lot of stuff going on up there. Yeah, Lady in White. I love the Lady in White. I love it. And a fun fact, I talked about Supernatural, but I think it's the very first episode of Supernatural, they deemed in on the woman in white. It's a really good legend. Look it up. A lot of people have seen her. If you are a truck driver or somebody that likes to drive at night, you might even see her on the side of the road, and she might ask you for a ride. Some people have reported that. Hello, Gabby. Hello. Let me see. You can get tours, so that you are allowed to visit here. They say if you're going to go and you really want to like have time and can take pictures, maybe avoid Halloween time, because it really ramps up and this place stays packed around Halloween, because obviously they know Stephen King was there, they know the book, they know the movie, so it has a lot of history. A lot of these graves are very, very old, from the 1800s, so there's a lot of history here. But so we have talked about a bunch, and there's a lot more. But I'm a big fan of Stephen King. So I'm just going to run through the pictures one more time before we have to go. So we started with Bodie, California. It's going to pop up. Again, this was a mining town from the 1800s. It is cursed because if you go there and you take a little something home, a rock, piece of dirt, piece of grass, I don't care what it is, you will have a lot of bad luck. So that's Bodie, California. And then we talked about, we talked about the Bell Witch. Apparently, lore goes, I'm just going to do a quick Cliff Notes version of all these. Lore goes that the owner made some kind of land deal with the next door neighbor. She felt cheated. She decided on her deathbed she was going to curse his entire family. And the whole family was tormented for many, many years and had a lot of illnesses and things like that. And allegedly, he was poisoned. So you can visit here too. I think the only one that you can't visit anymore is Stoll. We talked about Myrtle's. Oh, I didn't show this picture, but this is a picture I pulled that allegedly shows a ghost in it. I did not take this picture, but you see the red circle. So somebody that is a paranormal team took this photo and they claim that that is an apparition right there. Is it? I wasn't there. But so this is some older pictures. Myrtle's Plantation, Louisiana. Let me show a better picture of the actual plantation. Okay. Here's the actual plantation. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. If you go to Louisiana and you can visit it, you're going to want to make sure that before you leave, you take your picture if you want. Don't quote me, but take your picture with this mirror and see if you capture anything. Again, Louisiana. And then what was next? Stoll. Oh no, Winchester House. I'm sorry. Winchester House. Again, Miss Sarah Winchester, she lost her baby. She lost her husband. She was tormented by guilt, and she felt like she was being tormented by any spirit that lost her life due to the Winchester rifle. And a medium told her that she needed to move west and constantly build and make sure that when she built, she confused the spirits. So there's stairs that lead to nowhere, doors that open to nothing. A lot of the number 13 is seen in this home. 38 years, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It was in construction. She passed away in 1922 and it halted. And now it just is a tourist attraction. Oh, you're welcome. And then the other cool one I talked about was the Crescent Hotel, which was a beautiful hotel at first, and then it went to a hospital by Mr. Norman Baker. It was called Baker's Cancer Hospital. He thought that by using certain things, he could cure cancer. I don't know where he got the recipe, but he ended up unallowing a lot of people doing this, and so this place is really haunted. He did get arrested. I don't know what happened to him after he got arrested. I don't know if he passed away in prison or if he got out and lived his life. I'm not sure about that. But it's really sad. Let me show you that. I'm just going to show this one more time in case anybody's just popping in, what you would have seen back then. So here's an actual flyer from back then, where sick folks get well. So, guys, this was everything I have for tonight. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. As always, if you guys have ideas, I've gotten a couple ideas already tonight. Let me know. If you ever want to be a guest and you have something to talk about, let me know. I always love having guests. And I have one in particular I'm trying to convince if she ever wants to. But I want to thank every single one of you guys for the conversation, for the likes, for the shares. I'm so, so, so grateful for you guys. I appreciate everything you guys do. I appreciate y'all coming here every Friday when you could be anywhere else. Make sure weekend, there's a lot of energy going around, a lot of shifting. Make sure you guys are doing something good for yourself. Get some rest, take care of your body, and do something that brings you joy, because you can't pour from an empty cup. I wish you guys the best week. Thank you so much.